All right, so who would have thought that a simple video of pulling a combine would open up so many questions in the comments? So I think I will do a video and just go around answering different comments about things. There's comments about not just combines, but other things that I've noticed in the last few days. So we'll throw all that in here too, and we'll get started right after this. Welcome back. If you haven't seen my videos before, I'm Ross the Oliver Man. This, of course, if you watch more than just one video, know that this is a 55 John Deere combine that I grew up on, and then we switched to that one, and recently we got this one running, and I want to make one out of the two because I like old combines and playing with stuff. So the first comment I'm going to address is by viewer whatever, I don't even remember his name, but he left a comment saying, why don't you just scrap all this stuff and make some money instead of always working on this old junk? If you don't understand, you know, what I'm doing here, then why are you even watching the videos? Because you and I are obviously on a very different page of what I enjoy in life. So there's that. Also, another thing that was mentioned in one of these videos, and I do remember this after Bandito commented, but that is not a headlight dimmer switch. That is a switch. If you had an electric clutch for the head, you could cut the head in and out and shut it off. And I think the later Deere combines must have had that normally as a standard feature, because there was a lot of people who had like 4400s and 6600s that knew exactly what that was and commented. But we never had such a thing as an electric clutch. If we did, we wouldn't have known what to do with ourselves. That would have been like, you know, pretty fancy, but we never had that. I see how it would be handy though, because it would be nice to be able to shut the head off and let the machine run. On the old red 7300, I kind of had the, you know, it was handy if you saw that there was a big slug coming through, you could sometimes quickly shut off the head, and then, you know, it would keep it from plugging your machine. The machine would clean itself out, then you could feed the rest in and you were good to go. So yeah, I mean, that would be kind of neat to find and put on there, but I'm betting that that's probably, you know, none of them are left around, and the ones that are probably wore out and gonna be more trouble than they're worth. So we'll just stick with what we got. Actually, I might have to retract my previous statement, friends. I walked over to the other one and started talking. Let's get this shield open and not get hit in the head by this rod, because that happened last time I did this. Maybe this is an electric clutch and we just never used it, because on the other combine, it looked to me like there was a wire or something sticking in it. Maybe this was, and it failed, and it has now been bolted solid. I'll have to look in the parts book. If anybody knows about that for sure, let me know, because if I've already got it, I wouldn't be opposed to making that work. Let's go back over to this other one here, which I started talking on, but I think it looks like on this one, there is in fact wiring behind it. Ooh, there's another shield that I don't have on this other one, so we'll have to swap over. There. Oh, there's another one there, Karen. Wow. Look at this. I bet that is a magical something. How about that? So We might have it on the other one. See, this one doesn't have any bolts in these two holes, and that other one does. And I wonder if that is the thing that, if you locked it up solid, we're gonna have to investigate that, because that would have made these so much more handy if that actually, you know, did what it was supposed to. So yeah, we'll figure that out later. That's a long ways off project. Next, someone commented, why don't you use this gooseneck trailer to haul instead of that little trailer you've always been hauling? Well, this gooseneck trailer is a piece of I got this for $200 from a neighbor who wanted rid of it. He had taken it on a trade for somebody who I think they did work for and never paid or whatever. And it is totally garbage. It's made out of 90 different pieces of things. Like this tongue setup obviously comes off of something different. And then what I like is, apparently the longest piece of steel they had was 24 inches, because every 2 feet it changes to some different type of stuff, you know, little pieces of metal. I also assume that this was probably a livestock trailer in the beginning of its adventure, if in fact it really was a trailer at all. I just think that because of the way stuff is rusted out in different places. But no, this is not a roadworthy trailer. I don't even have a title for it. I bought it mainly, I was thinking about making where I could really spend a lot of time and make like a spray trailer with it or something, but I'd have to just start over. It's doing more what as it is right now as being storage for stuff to keep it up off the ground, like these tractor cabs. That's proving to be a pretty handy job for it. But basically, a guy should just saw that up for the steel and be done with it, because it ain't hardly worth. It's got mobile home axles. That's not, nobody'll give you a title for a trailer like that, you know. I guess I could make up a number and do it, but not worth it. I mean, it's just, it's a farm use rig, basically like a wagon for around here. So that's why that is the way that it is. Hume reel, we already talked about that. You know, people said I'm crazy, but I'm probably going to take that off and hang it in the wall somewhere and put the other reel back on. There consequently is the old auger for it, all kinked up. And there's the original head for it. It may not be possible to put the original reel back on, because it is pretty bad. There's going to be a lot of remaking. I mean, it's basically there, but the center tube rotted out of it, I see, and so yeah, probably not worth it. It's also grown up with rose bushes, so that really did not work out very well. Still got some new sickle sections on it from where we were using it last, but such is life there. This is what happens when you start a project and then don't ever finish it, you know. I kind of regret that now, but this will be a parts head, and we will figure that out. See, there's all the lift cylinders. They're down in the dirt. So this wasn't very well thought through. Also, I like the tree that grew up in between the hydraulic lines, you see. Moved them away from the machine and then proceeded to grow around them. So that'll be a couple days of sawing right there to get that, you know, cut out of there. But we need to do it because I'm tired of looking at all this, you know, grown up mess. Just like my pile of light poles here. I thought these would be handy, and I agreed for somebody to come and dump them off here. And they've never done anything except sit here and rot up more. So yeah, I need to saw them up and just start burning them one at a time, I guess, in the furnace or something. That's probably good for you, the fumes from the creosote, but whatever. Somebody said, don't fix the deer come mines, just fix these. Well, I'm gonna fix them all because I want to. What else has been going on? Well, after almost a year, I finally got all my red metal sawed up and put away so that whenever I have time to work on the rest of this, it's not just laying out here in the ground. So that's nice. Always like to make a little progress. One thing led to another, and why it took so long was I had thoughts of doing this. I wanted to put a piece on each side to keep rain from rotting the side of this building. And then in cleaning out that parts room, I had this blue piece of metal, and I thought, I don't just want to scrap this blue piece of metal. So I thought, hey, I got red. My buddy Roger gave me some white metal that was left over from when he built his house, and it was good except the bottom maybe 8 to 10. I think I sawed a foot off of it. So probably about 10 inches or so, 12 inches was rotten from where it had laid somehow in the dirt or whatever when they were done building this house, and they just left it lay there. So I got red, white, and then I used that blue piece, put another red piece, and then yeah, so that's what I wanted to see how long I needed the longest red piece before I cut it up into lengths to do the other side. And so I'm gonna get this all cleaned up and get this stuff hung back on the wall, and you know, maybe make some brackets and stuff to hang like the truck sideboards and things. So I do need to cut a shorter piece though for up top and finish it, because it wasn't long enough now like that. So, and you're gonna say, well, why didn't you put the mess up at the bottom? Well, I can't get my ladder in here to get to the top and get all that stuff down, so it was just easier to deal with that later. So I got the piece of metal up. It won't be nothing to cut a little piece and put it up there, and nobody's gonna know the difference, because this is all under a roof anyway. This is just for, you know, keeping rain from blowing in on my parts and rotting the building and this and that. So on the other side of this wall, I can set up that parts bin, and then I know it will stay dry, and hopefully I can start picking up stuff and putting it in there, like all of these fender brackets and different things, you know. All that stuff was stuff that was hanging on this wall way back when, and some of it would fall to the ground because it was way too much weight for this. So I've got a system here. It's just gonna take me some time to, you know, get it all in place and picked up and organized. That's the theme. I want this year to be organizing stuff so that it's not just all over, you know. I got stuff in every building, and I want to try to cut that down to where certain things are in certain places, so I don't have to go looking all the time for, you know, whatever it is I'm looking for. But anyway, red, white, and blue. So if you see that in the background of a video when I'm working in the shed, that's how that came to be. It's all because of that one piece of blue metal that we must have got years ago as a cover sheet on some metal we bought. And Grandpa never would throw anything away, because he always said the cover sheets were free metal, you know, but they were never the color of what you were using. So, you know, what do you do with one piece of blue metal? Well, you either build a doghouse or you do this. So I'll build Buddy a doghouse. I've got a piece of green metal that was a cover sheet. So maybe we'll do that one day as a project. I had somebody else comment, and I won't say who because he's probably embarrassed because he retracted his comment afterwards. But when I was using this to pull that combine, he said, how come your 1855 has a turbo sticker on it? 1855s didn't have a factory turbo. Yes, they did. 18s and 19s had turbos, 17s did not. So this sticker would be on an 18 or 1955. And if you're not sure from a distance and you want to know what kind of tractor it is, the easiest way to tell is on the turbo tractors. Of course, now I'm shooting right into the sun, which is good, you know. All right, that's a pretty decentish shot. On the turbo tractors, the muffler is forward and the air cleaner's behind. And that's the easiest way to tell. Because if we go look at the 1755, you have the air cleaner in front and the muffler in back because of the way that it is. And they needed the room under there. This is a simple setup like what they'd always used. So it just goes straight up on the turbo tractors. 4 bolts, and then your turbo sits in there, and then the elbow off of it puts your exhaust up forward more. So then the air cleaner's behind it, and then so it can feed the turbo, and then it comes out of the hood, yeah, in a different spot. So that's why it is the way it is, and there you have it. So yeah, easy way to tell from a distance which tractor it is if you're looking at one, you know, from the road and somebody's fence line. That's one clue you've got. Also, whilst we're here, somebody on the old internets there, had a picture of like a 1255 or something, and was asking questions about headlights because he couldn't understand why his headlights were mounted on the fender when the pictures show this. Well, that's not true. The 1250 and the 1450 had those teardroppy fancy Italian headlights. I think it's Siem, S-I-E-M is the company that made them. It's stamped on it, if I'm not pronouncing it right. Sorry, but that's the way it is. So 1250 and 1450 had them up front, and then they of course had tail lights on the back. I don't think I can really get to the back of Freddie right now to show you, but I don't think that he has his tail light on, if I remember. It's in the seat of the service truck. But anyway, we'll go look at the 1365, and then you can get the gist of what I'm about to say. So by the time the next revision came out, the 1250A, and then all the tractors after that, the holes are there for headlights, but no more of those fancy Euro headlights. Nothing over here will fit in them. And so that's why I think they just did away with it. If you were over in Italy right now and you found an orange one of these Fiats, it would have those Euro style headlights on it, because they kept using it over there because that was their thing. When it came to America, it got these brackets and then these American style headlights. And then that way, you know, your bulb was the same as your American tractors. The rubber ring is the same. This is a Hobbs light, I believe, is the brand maker, because this tractor was missing the lights. And I actually found one new old stock one, which I think I put on the back so that it would not stick out. The front two are both used ones, and then that way, you know what I'm saying. But he was having trouble with the configuration of his lights. So on all the ones, 1250A and newer, you had two front headlights on the fenders. You had these tall brackets, and then your flashers on them. I don't know why, that's just the way they were. Taller for more visibility, I suppose. Then you have a bracket back here with your white light, and then two red tail lights. And these are on all the time, as we remember from previous videos. You know, everything works through the key switch. Every position does something different, you know, and then it comes on. Either your flashers go off. We did all that in a video. I did that in a video, I think, where I was trying out those Chinesium boots, and I didn't like them. So, you know, you can look back at that if you're got headlight questions, because I think I explained most of what was going on in there. But anyway, this is exactly the way it was. I mean, the setup when it was new. Two white lights, flashers, white light in back, two red lights. Freddie's a little different. It would have had two roundish style tail lights, and then it had no front white lights. I think it had a rear work light, but it did not have any of these, and it didn't have the brackets like this. Yeah. So that's how that was, you know. It was cutting cost and making stuff easier for guys to replace, because those headlights, if you remember on Freddie, when I made them fit, I had to grind American bulbs to fit in there, and they were just a complicated mess. So it saved them some money. It was easier. The wiring is still there for them, so if you want to go on the internet and buy yourself a pair of those Euro style lights they make for this body style tractor, you can bolt them right on, and your wires are hanging right down in here, and you can plug into them and go. But the Olivers were like this, 1250A and newer. What else should I talk about? I don't know if I've offended enough people yet, so I need to talk about more. Somebody commented and said, gee, 15 tractors in here, huh? No, there's more tractors around here than that, but, you know, we still need to start the Super 66 and then everything else that way, because I never did that. We had the 1855 running, so 66 should start. I think I had it running the other day, and the 60 before that video where I was doing it on camera, but we can do that again someday on camera. And then all the ones in the other building have just been as we use them. But yeah, there were several people who didn't like my chain pulling technique, where I gave her a tug, you know. Well, I left that one in there, but what you didn't see was the other half hour of footage where I was ripping on it just to try to get it to break free. I didn't know that wheel was stuck, or I would have just gave up right then. And I actually forgot that I had the 9650. I should have just got it, because it would have started right up and it would have pulled it no problem. But I know it's dangerous to jerk on a chain because they will slingshot across. I've had several guys, you know, have close calls with them. One guy I can think of, they were doing something and his dad was in the tractor that was pulling, and jerked the chain, and he ducked down because something rolled on the floor, and he ducked down to get it, and as he was ducking down, the chain flew through both the windows in the cab and went out across the hood. So he got lucky that the can of starting fluid or whatever rolled on the floor, and he ducked down, and he didn't even know the chain was coming. So yes, that can happen, and it's dangerous, and that's why at the beginning of the videos it says, don't listen to me, I'm a moron. So don't do the stuff you see me do. It's not a good idea. Don't do that thing. Somebody asked me about this the other day too. There's more new metal. I did the same thing on this side, but don't have another blue piece. So, but anyway, 2844 is kind of at a standstill. I haven't had time to mess with it. I don't have parts per se. The biggest thing is welding on that manifold, which I just don't have done, and it's going to be quite a chore. I like to every so often, which shows you how often I've done it lately, is to turn the stuff over. I don't know if we can do that real quick. Oh yeah, maybe it's stuck now. That'd be about right. Well, that would really suck, wouldn't it? There. Got nervous for a minute. It didn't want to go, but there she goes. Probably need to pull the old spark plugs and shoot some oil down in there just to keep her, you know, limbered up, because we don't want it to stick. It's done that before, and I've had to, you know, use my foot to get it to go, but I don't know. I keep my eye out for parts, but parts for these are kind of few and far between. I guess we could take that inside and run that through the magical cleaner and see if we could find any parts for it, like a kit. I don't know. It's going to be quite the adventure, is what I'm saying. I really wish I could find this. Again, I will put out the word. Does anybody have this piece? Hanging on the wall from where Grandpa got mad and cut the tractor up for scrap, but he kept the hand crank for some reason. I need that little piece that bolts to the front of the tractor. It's busted. That would hold my crank in a better way. I'll just have to make something, if not. Basically, I mean, the manifold is what's holding us up. I need to get a manifold made, or find somebody who could do it. The one you can get aftermarket from that Rosewood place is not the same kind, and it won't mesh with the air cleaner thing I've got, I don't think, the way it looked to me. So I really need to try to get what I got, because that's what I'm set up for, and that's what this had. So I'd like it to be that way. You know, what else to say? I need to that's what we need to do. I need to get a belt put on there, and I've never heard it run. The guy before me said he had it running, and you know, we'll find out eventually, but it's just one of those things where this is not a big priority, because it really can't do anything for me other than make me happy by looking at it. So yeah. Also, I guess on my improved parts list of things I need for it, which is another thing that probably nobody will have. Well, that's a mess, but I'm not even going to tackle that. The pulley. She is wore out. Can you see this? See how narrow those splines are now? And this is what they're supposed to be. So, yeah, we're going to need to do something on that, which might just end up be jamming things in the empty space until we don't have sadness anymore. But anyway, that's a project we need to get to, like everything else around here. But I want to get this this metal used up, because I'm tired of tripping over it. It's been a year. It's been literally a year, and I got a good deal, if you don't remember, because I know some people were harping on me and my junk buildings, and they didn't know why I would waste time. Well, I paid $50 for all of this red metal. $50 for probably $1,000 worth of red metal. So I'm doing with it what I want to do with it, see? And then if I screw something up, oh well, I got my $50 worth out of this door. I mean, so the only thing I had to buy was all the white trim pieces, which that maybe amounted to a couple $100 for everything. You know, the two edges to make the door, and white pieces here, and then I've got white trim to do across the top of the roof. Eventually I want to get like a dealer sign made there, and there's a place that can get it, but the shipping's kind of expensive. So I talked to a local place, but that never really panned out yet, so I need to hit him up again and see what he's thinking. But I just think that would make a nice scene eventually to like take pictures in front of with tractors and things. So yeah, that's what's going on. It's just I'm one guy. I can't do all of the projects at once. I start a project and then something else more important has to be done right now, and then I never get back to it. Sometimes a year later, and that's where we are with this. So yeah, so a lot of people like the old truck. I do too. And I really want to get it going. Consequently, I just got the title switched over in my name, so that is going to be a project that we tackle. It was just one of those things where it never got done. He told me years ago I could have it, but I just never got it over. And I thought the other day, probably would be a good idea to, you know, do that while he's alive, so that it's a lot harder to deal with the old license branch, as we discovered with the white pickup. Just probably would be easier if everybody involved was still alive. So do that now and then not worry about it later. So yeah, but anyway, that is definitely on the table as something to do some point. Maybe this summer we can fire it up again. It should run. Hopefully it's not stuck, but it's been, I say 5 years ago, it's probably been 10 years ago when I rebuilt that carburetor, and it's never, I had it running, it didn't run good, rebuilt the carburetor, put it on, never ran any fuel through it. So I'm hoping that we're still in that same shape as we were back then, but who knows. Old Dear John here, somebody commented on the 37 loader. He said you don't see many of those anymore. You are right, my friend, and I know why. Because growing up, this loader was a pain in the Knutson, because it has one-way boom cylinders, and that is super unhandy. It would be a lot more handy if it had two-way cylinders. I looked into doing that, and I'm sure I could come up with it from the hydraulic supply house, you know, but why? These work for what we're doing. I've got that other tractor with two-way cylinders, and I feel like as soon as I do that, I'm going to start tearing up more stuff on the tractor. And the tractor is not really built heavy enough for loader work anyway, so it probably would be just a good idea to keep it the way it is. I see I'm losing a pin there. That's going to have to be addressed next time we use it. Another thing I did not like about these loaders is why probably they did not survive, or people did not, is the single lift cylinder on the bucket. This to me is not very handy. We have multiple times broken this. This one has actually been welded. I don't know if you can see, but that's at least the second piston that's been in that cylinder. And I know that because the other one I have on my 1610 loader, I'm using it as a bracket. The rod, it was bent just the right way, and it was the right size to fit in the hole on the loader arm, and I stuck it in there and bolted it down, and it curves out and it's got a hole in it, and I could bolt the valve to it for that. So this has been replaced more than once, and the next time I don't know what we're going to do if we have to deal with it, because this is one of those, I I don't know. It's in rough shape. It's been welded to the bolts to put it together. I don't know if they made a new tube at one time or something. I'm not real sure what's all taken place on this rig. Dude, there's a bolt loose there too. Probably should fix that. But to me, that would be why the 37 loader was not a very popular or long-lasting thing, because after using it, guys, well, let me put it a different way. So like for Grandpa, this was the Cadillac. He loved this, and it worked great because the loader he had before was a trip bucket piece of garbage on a WD Alice Chalmers. And if you used the trip bucket loader all day with, I probably even had cables on it, I don't know. This hydraulic loader was a Cadillac. It could do anything. It could dig. It can dig in the ground. Even with one-way cylinders, it will dig in a big hole, you know. So going from that old rickety trip bucket loader to this was a super duper Cadillac. But once guys saw the benefits of the loaders with the two-way cylinders and quick detach and stuff like that, then, you know, that this became obsolete. And, you know, Grandpa just never would do that. He already had a loader, so there wasn't any need to get a different one, you know, till this one was wore out. Well, this one lasted his whole lifetime, and he never had to get a different one. You know, he probably should have, but he didn't. So that's why it still exists. So anyway, it's going to stay that way because, like I said, it's very handy as it is, and I don't need to go figuring out complex mathematics and then have a loader that doesn't work like I want it to anyway. So yeah, we're going to just keep it the way it is. But you're right, this is an unusual combination. If you search the world over, a 2020 high utility with a 37 loader and a factory canopy, yeah, I don't think that there's very many more out there. I might be wrong, but probably not. Well, I got distracted with telephone, but anyway, another hit from that video just a few days ago was the old handyman jack. You know, oiling it. Everybody was so thrilled about that. And somebody sent me a message, if I can find it back, about, he saw a picture. I'll try to put the picture into the guy. His name was Philip John Hurrah. And his 1905 invention, the automatic combination tool, aka the handyman jack. 4 and 5 generations later, the company is still owned by the same Hurrah family and still being produced out of the same factory in Bloomfield, Indiana. And I replied to the guy that sent it to me. I said, sadly, his son was killed by his invention, making him the final hurrah. But that's not true, but it certainly would make an interesting ending to their story. But no, I don't know what we'd do without the high lift jack. It has brought us so much joy and near-death experiences, you know. So, all right, so where do we go from here? I got kind of on this video is basically just ranting about things that people have said, but sometimes that's what you get. But and as far as priorities go, this thing needs to become like priority number 1 now that we're getting some decent-ish weather days. I need to take that apart and get that seal put in while I've got it this far. Then we'll get a tire, slap that on, she'll be good to go there. And then the other big thing is this oil cooler's leaking. And I've started several times to take it apart, and I've never got any farther. I need to do that because it's got to be fixed. Because we just can't, you see what I'm saying? It's basically like 2 oil coolers in one. And I got to get it out of there and get it sealed up because we can't use it like that. And we kind of need this horse. Yeah, I can use the 9650, but I don't want to just depend on one, you know. It's much easier, especially on these big ones, just like leave this hooked up to that disc instead of trying to hook and unhook from it all the time. Plus, the 9650, I think that disc, although it can pull it, I really think that's a lot harder work for it than it needs to be. In an emergency, yes, but as far as starting out the season, I want to have all my teammates here ready to go. So that's what we're going to do. I haven't even called them because I know it's going to hurt my feelings how much that tire costs. I don't even want to go there. I mean, If we get real desperate, I guess we'll probably slap the old one on and go again, but I really don't want to do that. I'd rather just put a new one on, but see, then it opens up the, do you put two on so that they're even? I guess maybe not as, how do I want to say? Maybe not as bad side to side as it would be front to back, because side to side, you've got your differential to kind of even it out if one's going a little bit faster than the other, whatever, as opposed to directly front and back of each other. You know, the back one grabs more than the front one or whatever. I don't know. That might just be scientific nonsense I invented in my head, but anyway, I hate to just, I don't want to spend a lot of money right up front on things. Yeah, that's a lot of money. I mean, it's going to be, we're going to be, for 2 tires, probably $5,000 bucks. That's my guess. I'd say by now, the price has gone up to where, from the place that I get it from, that's probably going to be a $2,500 tire. That would be my guess. I hope not. I'm hoping it's maybe 2. Even less than that would be nice. The last time I bought one here with tube delivered was like $1,600 to $1,700. So, and that was back whenever we got actually the last one of those nonsense government payments they gave everybody in America for no reason. I spent it on the tire to put the tire on the other side because I had one new one, and then, yeah, you see what I'm saying? So I evened it out, but now we're gonna have to start on the front, and that just hurts my feelings, you know. I gotta get, really, I think I have 2 seals, because there's one of these in the back is also drippy, but we may just choose to ignore that right now like we have been, because it's not that bad. If you fill it up, it's probably still full from last year, really. It makes it wet. It doesn't really leak out till there's no more left. Plus, if it's still leaking, that means it's got oil in it. So, anyway, not much of a video, but at least we explained some things and maybe addressed your comments. Hopefully, the people with the Fiat Light questions understood what I was talking about, so we get that straightened out. And hopefully, the complainers got it figured out what I'm talking about. A lot of the stuff I do doesn't make sense if you were looking at this from a purely, you know, does it make sense perspective. I do this because I like it, okay? And apparently other people like to watch it because they watch it every day. And then I make money by working on my stuff. So that's why I do it. It's because I like old equipment. And so that's the way it's going to be. If you don't like it, why, flip the channel and watch something else, you know? I'm sure there's some type of show about transitioning cake bakers or something that you could watch and enjoy more. But if you stay here, you're going to see old equipment getting fixed and used, and it may not make sense, but that's the way it's going to be. As always, if you enjoy my videos, give them a thumbs up. Leave a comment and tell me how dumb you think I am. Or, if by some slim chance you liked it, say that. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.